Hello, Western Civ class. Welcome to Spring 2020. It's kind of strange to think that here we are in 2020, but yes, we are. And it's going to be a voting year, so everybody will be grumpy with each other. So I already understand how this is all going to work. In any case, what I'm looking forward to do is to help you have an understanding of the very civilization we live in and are a part of, Western civilization. And we're covering the beginnings up until around the Reformation period. This is so crucial. And I think especially now when the discourse that we're seeing happen politically in the United States and within Europe, I feel that getting these history classes helps us to perhaps have at least a more informed point of view about many of the topics that are taking place currently. Now, you'll notice that as I discuss this, I'm not really making any clear indications about where I stand on things. I have a lot of strong opinions. What I'm trying to do, though, is create a class which has nuance, where I can give you information without doing too much editorializing and help you all as each student, regardless of your background, of your thoughts, of your politics, just get a good solid history in Western civilization. And I'm going to be covering some of the most positive aspects, and I will be talking about things that are viewed negative by other people. So again, the word here I like to use is nuance. And also I'm going to be trying to continue to create solid information in which there's a strong consensus on. Okay, I think that you're going to find this to be a very rewarding class in terms of doing that. You will want to get a textbook. The textbook situation has been a little bit tricky because basically the textbooks for all my classes that I was using aren't accessible in the way they were before. In fact, my World Civ I had to completely change to another textbook, which is really annoying me right now. And a lot of it has to do is the textbook companies are trying to push something like Rebel, these computer programs that like have these already pre-generated or pre-made tests and quizzes that you scramble to get A, B, or C, or D into. And that's not what I think of history being about. And in fact, I just want to give you a little bit of an understanding of the what to expect in my class if you haven't had my online class before. You know, people end up rather thinking my class is overwhelming with work, or they talk about it being so easy. Oh my gosh, it's so easy. Well, I'm not trying to make it so easy or too hard. I'm trying to teach you, to educate you, and to fulfill a kind of academic standards, okay? I realize that in public schools and sometimes private, when you're going to all the way up through high school, you were given history exams that said A, B, or C, or D. Multiple choice. Those can be helpful at times. I can't 100% say I'm against them, but I just don't do them. And I discovered when I was at UC Santa Cruz for my bachelor's that many of the professors didn't use multiple choice, and I decided myself that I did not want to do it. I used to do multiple choice at times. But here's the problem. So we're in Western Civ, okay, but let's say in my U.S. history class, if I just say, was the U.S. Civil War about slavery or not, true or false, it's not gonna help us really tackle that question. And it's not going to help us tackle why so many parts of American public school systems actually say that it's not about slavery and others do. And why is there that disparity? Now, I will just quickly tell you, it was about slavery because the states that left said it was. Just Google declarations of secession by southern states, and you'll see they actually say it in their own words, which is odd. Oddly enough, you'll see that when this debate happens often, that somehow just gets overlooked, that there's actually, like, they said we're leaving the Union because of, to protect slavery. That was there. Now, but here's my whole point. What I'm trying to say is that even though that's the case, there are still scholars with PhDs that make an argument that it wasn't. I want you to be exposed to understanding about why historians even debate about certain events and why it's not necessarily a scientific answer a lot of times when it comes to, like, the conclusions we draw from events, what happened and why. And so this whole class will be approaching things from that perspective. So when we have the discussions, I want you to be respectful, but you're not, your politics are not called into question. I want you to be playing the role of critical thinkers and historians. Now, in the discussions, I've rarely ever had this happen, but I'm playing the balance between free speech and just decorum in the classroom. Okay? So look, I know you have the Second Amendment, but this is a classroom. It's not, if a student talks down to another student, I don't care if it's even just in the tone or insults them, that's not acceptable for a classroom setting. Got it? That's it. So I will shut that down. We will have a discussion about it. So what I want you to do is keep in mind that especially when we're in politically sensitive times, don't freak out or melt down if somebody has a point of view that's different than you. But at the same time, if you say something that is attacking a person's character, their ethnicity, their religion, and you're making an insult, you're not contributing to an academic discussion. You're just playing into what is going on out. Like, my classroom is supposed to be, it's like, in the movies you see where the warriors have to put down their weapons when they come to this place, like a church or a holy site, right? Okay, we have to put our weapons down here, and we can engage with a serious discussion, but there is limits to that. And I'll be the one to determine that. Now, if you as a student feel upset or concerned about something that's going on in the discussions, and I overlooked it, then you feel free to write to me, and then I will assess. I will take a look what's going on, and I'll make an assessment. Okay? So, but again, I really just haven't had too much of a problem with that. I just want to say that right away. And then, let's see, what else would I want to cover? In terms of the papers, I'm going to do a whole separate discussion, and it may be mainly that I write in an announcement, give you an example of what I want on papers. And I want to talk more about plagiarism because this has been an epidemic that I just don't, so far I haven't been able to resolve. Every semester, I even had an A student last semester come the end give me a paper that was fully plagiarized. And there seems to be but it's also linked to some sort of lack of understanding about certain things that I'm just going to make really clear. So I'm going to go over all of that part, okay? Ultimately, what I want you to understand is this. I was a single dad as finishing up college and working as a professor, and I understand the struggle of being a parent. I currently have 2 jobs myself, so I work a lot at a consignment shop, believe it or not. This is American work life. I'm sorry to say, right? So I have to deal with time management issues. I am very flexible when students communicate with me, when they're getting behind, have an issue. Some of my students are in the military or fighters somewhere in the emergency public service job situation where I totally understand those kind of things, and I will work with you on those things. But I need you to understand this. If you are working in a way in which you're going to chronically, and I'm going to talk about this more too, if you can't be on time most of the time for your work, this may not be the semester for you to start this class. So what I'm saying is this. I'm going to be flexible for those of you who communicate with me. Okay? Late work is not automatically accepted. But when you communicate with me and you have real issues, and real issues could be you just broke up with somebody or they broke up with you, okay? And you don't even have to give me all the private details. It's just that you can communicate with me something and I can say, okay, I understand why it's not going to be on time this Sunday, for example. We had the fires that was taking place and that was causing some problems. These are understandable things. But if you're telling me every week and then you want to give 3 weeks worth of and I'm saying this because I've had this happen with students recently, where I showed some flexibility and then it was expected that I'm going to allow them and their busy schedule to constantly, chronically send me late work. This is not acceptable. And I just want you to be aware, the online experience creates a flexibility there, but it is difficult to keep up a job, go to school, take care of a family, have a life. And all these things I understand. But there's no university anywhere when you transfer is going to allow for chronic late work. And so it's not really responsible on my part to let you think that that's doable as well. I will do everything in my power to help you out within what's reasonable in terms of an online college academic setting. Okay, just keep that in mind. Communication with me is the best thing to do. Don't presume things. Communicate with me, and do that kind of thing. So that's all I'm gonna say for now. I might have some more things to add later. I do try to communicate with students as quick as possible and to respond as quick as possible. So this is the last thing I want to say. I have my cell phone now. I was traveling the world for a while. I didn't have a cell phone. People can only hit me up through WhatsApp or right here on Canvas. What I'd prefer for contact is write me directly on Canvas, not on if you're going to write to me. Because if you write directly into Canvas, it'll show me which class you're from. And that helps me kind of understand where things are at right away. Okay? And then text me if you have an immediate question, because while I'm at work, if I have a lunch break, then I can maybe respond quickly if it's a short question or call you back. I normally would not encourage students to have my number to give me text. But in an online setting, when I'm living, by the way, in Portland, Oregon, okay, so I'm not even in the Central Valley, I need to make myself accessible enough to all of you if you have any certain needs. So this is still professional and acceptable in this regard, okay? So I don't want you to be shy about that when it comes to questions and communicating with me, okay? Just keep in mind, no message, no text about late work at 3 a.m. Let's just go with a 9 to 5 workday schedule, okay, in terms of when you want to call or text, and then I'll respond within that framework, okay, 9 to 5, all right. Okay, so that's all I have to say. I hope you all had a great holiday season. New Year's is coming up. Please be safe. No drinking and driving. I've had too many friends get hurt really bad. I've known people who've died and just got DUIs, and it just really caused their life a lot of stress. It's just not worth it, Pick a designated driver or just use the Uber or Lyft or something else, all right? So we like to keep you around. 2020 is good when we're all alive, happy, and healthy, okay? So that's all I got to say. We'll be in touch.